everybody, SuzyQue here and welcome to QueAquatics and Exotics. And today I'm coming to you from the floor of my basement and we're going to be going over my axolotl tank. Actually, we're going to be going over two of my axolotl tanks. One is mine that houses 3 females and this one is Amy's that houses her 2 males. And the reason that we're on the floor, it's the coolest part of the basement. And these tanks do not have heaters. They don't always have these lights on. The lights are for us, not for them. Their eyes are also kind of a little sensitive to it. So I'm going to show you how big they got, how adorable they are. I'm going to put all 5 in this summer tub over here. You see this? It's got some places for them to hide a little bit, but I'll put the GoPro in there so we can see it. But they're all going in the same tank while I do some cleaning. And I'm going to scrub down their tanks thoroughly, clean them out, and maybe we'll get some mating action. And then maybe in a little bit we'll get some eggs out of it. So let's go check out. In this tank, Laguna, Xochimilco, and in this tank, Lucy and Ethel. But they're actually males, so you might want to call them Ricky and Fred. We still call them Lucy and Ethel. All right, but I feel like I have neglected these tanks. They've had water changes and spot cleaning, but I haven't done a thorough cleaning, and I think we'll see how dirty it really is when we kick it up. They're not real big sand sifters, so their sand is pretty well stable, but you'll see when I start cleaning it. I'm pretty sure it's dirty. I also am very curious to see how they interact with each other, and I'll do some explaining of what an axolotl is, how it got to be the way it is. Is it really extinct in the wild? I found some things out that I'm not so sure about that. And yeah, we're going to take a closer look. So the first thing, I'm going to inspect each one and get them over to that little summer tub. So here's the summer tub I'm going to be using to put all 5 of the axolotls in while I clean out their tanks. A little GoPro inside to see how they interact with each other when my back is turned. So let's get that started first. Axolotls are amphibians, and I have quite a few amphibians. They're in the salamander family, and these are the only salamanders I have. So the ideal temperature of an axolotl is somewhere between 60 and 64 degrees. This is why these tanks are in the basement, on the bottom, no heater. But even we're in the heat of the summer, so my basement is actually warmer than 60 to 64 degrees. There's that 68, 68. So I'm going to make the temperature of the holding tank that they're going to go into maybe 1 degree cooler. I don't want to go too much cooler. I don't want to shock them, so I'll probably put that at 67. And since the water coming out of my tap is at 72 degrees, all cold water is 72 degrees, I'm going to add a couple frozen bottles of water. Let's get started so I can get the axolotls over there. We're going to go with Mirko first. Hey, Gardy. And get my hands wet first so she doesn't freak out. I'll put something in here for them to hide in. Let me get one of their hides first. Who's next? So those are the 3 females. Let's get the 2 males over here. Let's see if there's any movement while I'm cleaning the tank. There's a little extra algae. I'm going to rinse off the mossballs. Some of those plants are fake, some of them are real. The Java fern over here is real. And since I'm not really going to worry too much about, I'm going to take the decor out, wash it off in tank water. Now that I don't have to worry about the axolotls being in here, clean out the filter as well in tank water. Here we go. So in order to turn off the filter, I kind of have to follow it up this line, up between these tanks, up here, to see which cord is it. So I'm pulling out these, and see how they're just in sand. They were not in any substrate, and they're doing amazing. Look at that, absolutely amazing. This is the root system from being in sand. A little bit of Java moss and Anubias tied to a polished rock. I think I'm just going to stir up this and let the water come out. I still have the original filter that came with this, and then I added my own filter. Okay, so while that one is draining of water, let's take a look at some of the plants that were in with Fred and Ricky. So I got, it's the same low light plants, but these seem to have been grown a little tiny film of algae on them. So if you can see that sponge filter, normally you would slip a little bag underneath this and bring it out and do this, but since I am cleaning up this tank, I'm just going to squeeze it in here. So this is going to take a little more. I'm going to have to move the camera because I really have to scrub. This had a little more algae on it than the other tank. But as you can see, what looked like two clear axolotl tanks were not clear at all. And I'll keep working on this one now. So sometimes I get these ideas. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not so good, but I have an idea. This is taking a very long time to drain with the python, probably because the tank is so low to the ground and the hose goes through that room, through that wall, over the ceiling to the other side of the house. I'm wasting a lot of water. It's not very effective. I have this pump, but I don't have any way of where to put the water as I pump or how to get it out once it's in this container I don't have. So I have this pump that John got me that I used it to empty my friend's pond, Jack. And here's a link to his video. I actually helped him with his pond this year, but they did all the work already, so it was super easy. I'm going to plug it in, but what I have is there's a hose that goes into the body of water. This pump is not submersible, and it's very awkward. So since I'm using sand, I don't want to clog up the pump, so I'm just going to put this little filter on the end and see if this works. Now I've got a hose that's only 5 foot long, goes nowhere. And I could put it in a bucket and then carry the bucket over. I don't want to do that. So I had this great idea to connect it to the python, closed, let's hope it's closed, and we'll pump it to the sink on this end. Now this is going to get very loud. Don't know if it's going to work. It's very awkward because the hoses are stiff, and as I stand up to plug it in, it's going to move around it. But I'm going to try it because this isn't working very well. This python is my downstairs python. This is the one that goes probably about 15-20 feet back into the other room and about 30 feet across the basement over to the sink. Not very effective or efficient. Once I start to siphon up in some of the upper tanks, I can turn the water off and it siphons automatically. These lower tanks, it doesn't work like that. And especially not when it's this low. So I'm gonna go check the sink real quick. You guys stay here and watch the tank. So here's my other idea. I put 2 hang on the back filters here. I am going to take out the sponge and put in some polyfill to see if I can polish this water a bit. So they're all just chilling out in there for now. This is where they're gonna stay while I finish polishing their water. Hopefully we'll get it to clear up a bit. Okay, I'm gonna go upstairs now. It's only been about an hour. I'm gonna let this do its work. But check out these two tanks. So yes, let's talk about how I feed the axolotls. First of all, straight up and honest, I don't feed my axolotls. Don't get worried though. My daughter Amy feeds them all the time. She buys them worms. I'm so ever grateful that she takes care of these two tanks. Let's give Amy a shout out. Thank you, Amy. Remember now, the axolotls aren't in here, so we're going to go over to the summer tub and see how the axolotls are doing and feed them some worms, and I'll show you the process I do for feeding. So now we're going to do a little feeding, but I want to show you what I do. I just get worms, but what I like to do is I just take my plain old USA worms. These are big red worms. To show you my process, first thing I do is I scoop a little dip jar. This dip jar is just to get off some loose dirt. So here's a worm. Now, I don't think their eyesight is real good, but I think they see wiggly things. There we go. And I got to pay attention to who got what, because they'll just keep eating. Let's see if this one wants one. She's sound asleep, and you don't even know it. Here you go. You got one. I don't want them to confuse the worm, and they're not aggressive. These guys are not aggressive, but if they see something wiggly, they're going to snap it off. And sometimes it's somebody's arm, and sometimes it's somebody's gill, and sometimes it's somebody's tail. I don't know if you can see, she's back here hiding. And if she's hiding, I'm going to let her hide. That's why I put that hide in there. Just going to see if she wants to, because she's a pretty big eater, and she may be... Oh, see, it landed right on her head, and she doesn't... Alright, so that's a worm wiggling around on the bottom. I would have to disrupt everything to get it. Here's another little one. Eat the rest of your dinner. Okay, so they all had one. Nobody seems to want more. That's odd, but I'll take it. And I'm happy that everybody had one. So now it's time to put back all the decorations and put my axolotls back. If they mated, then they will have mated. If not, well, maybe I'll leave them like this for today and then put them back. I'll put their decorations back. How's that? This is one of the best decorations that I ever got for them. They have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different hiding spots. This is a really good decoration. It has 2 levels as well. Make sure that there's no air bubbles in it. They like to go on top of it, behind it as well. And this little bridge, they go through this bridge. If it makes them feel special, there you go. I do have live plants in their tanks, but I also like a little bit of color. I don't know if they're colorblind. I did not see any research on yay or nay, so if it would add stimulation, fine. If not, it was a couple dollars. It's okay. And I still have the sponges down here because right now I'm polishing with the polyfill. Let me show you how many plants came out of the axolotl tank. These are all the plants from the axolotl tank. When I set up this axolotl tank, I certainly did not have this many. There's so many daughter plants that I think what I'm going to do is find something to attach all these daughter plants to and put that back in. All these plants have rhizomes and shouldn't really be planted inside substrate. This one's attached to a rock with some Java moss, so I'm going to put this back in the tank. The rest, I'm going to see if I can find something to attach it to. So here is just like a Halloween or a fall tree that's a plastic decor. I just wrapped some of the Java fern babies around. I'll put it right here. That came out good. Okay, I'm gonna have to check with my daughter. I may have just ruined the whole coolness of her tank, but I put the big Anubis in. There are lots of little holes and crevices in this tiki bar, and I put it through the back just to create a lot of places for plant growth. I'm going to let it run today and see how if the water clears up. We're going to be putting them back in their homes as long as I can tell them apart. See her over here. There's the baby. That's Milko. This is Laguna. And this is Soshi. This is definitely Lucy because he's got balls. Oh my goodness, this is Laguna. This is Laguna. I got the wrong one. Sorry, baby. Here we go. Okay, I got the two males back over there, Lucy and Ethel. Or Ricky and Fred, whichever. I got Laguna, Soshi, and Milko in this tank. So we're back to the females and males. If they mated while they were in that generic summer tub, great. That's for the 3 females. And these are the 2 males. So thanks for coming along and checking out my axolotls and my daughter's axolotls. We did a bit of a spring cleaning, even though it's the middle of the summer. And with any luck, we'll have some eggs. So thanks for checking us out, and we will see you next time.